Greetings YouTube and welcome to the Dragon Network. In today's video we are going to indeed be talking about Pokemon. In particular, I have a deck profile for you guys, and it's the one I said I would be doing in my last video. You know, when I was talking about Garchomp Altaria, I said there is one other Dragon deck out there. And honestly, this is the much better Dragon deck, as it used to be tier 1.5. It's actually probably still is tier 1.5, maybe even a tier 2. And it would be good old Rayquaza Eels. One of the hardest hitting decks that I've ever played with Yuri. If you can get your setup going, you're going to be doing 180 damage every turn, and it's largely going to be due to Rayquaza's Dragon Burst attack. So let's just get right down to how this deck functions. And if you're wondering about the mat, it's because, well, I'm getting rid of this right away, so I figured I'd do one more video on it before I no longer have it to be used again. So first off, let's go over the Pokemon in this deck, and we'll start with our big guy, Rayquaza EX. I briefly mentioned how he does damage. His Dragon Burst does 60 damage times the amount of either discarding all lightning or all fire energy attached to him. And ideally, you're going to be having 1 fire and 3 lightning every turn, so you'll be just discarding 3 lightnings for 180 damage. This will kill anything in the game, barring Eviolites on an EX. Just flat out 180 damage, and yeah, like, he's unresisted too. Plus, he's got a pretty nice retreat cost, only 1, so you can just detach an energy to get him out of there if need be, or you can use Sky Arrow Bridge to make it absolutely free, which is what I am doing in here. His other attack, Celestial Roar, is not even useful in here, although it is a central part of the other Rayquaza deck that I could build called Speedquaza. And I'll briefly talk about that because it's an amazing troll deck. Speedquaza is simply put 4 Rayquaza and 56 energy. That's it. All you're doing is you're going to start with Rayquaza, you're going to mill the top 3 cards of your deck through Celestial Roar and attach any basic energies that you get off of this. No, it's just all energy, so yeah. You discard the top 3 cards of your deck and attach any energies you mill onto this Pokemon. Ideally, you'll mill 3 fires or you'll mill a fire, some lightning, and then basically you'll attach the energy from your hand that you don't have in order to Dragon Burst. It's fun, but it loses to a lot of things. Sigilyph, no, actually not Catcher, but Laser Bank, etc., etc. But yeah, Celestial Roar though, not used in here. You have other ways of getting energy onto this guy, which we will get to in a bit. 1 copy of Shiny Rayquaza. It's just in here because Dragon Pulse is an easy 40 damage for 1 energy. And then 1 copy of Zekrom. This is just filler. To perfectly honest, I don't have a 4th Eel, so I'm just running this in order to cover for the lack of space. It's not like I'm taking this deck to anything big anyway, so yeah, this will be good enough for locals. He's pretty simple. Bolt Strike does 120, but you do 40 to yourself. Outrage does 20, but it does 10 more damage for each damage counter on him, so after you Bolt Strike, Outrage will be hitting for 60. If this guy survives a big attack, then he's gonna like take a huge chunk of damage before finally going down. Plus he's full art, and goddamn, full art Zekroms look nice, even though they're not very expensive. Like, these things are about $4 now, which is kind of sad. Anyway, now let's get to the other big part of the deck, and that would be the Eels. 3 copies of Electrik and 4 copies of Dynamo. If I could, I would run 4 Electrik, but I just can't get a 4th Electrik. Like, these things are freaking difficult as hell to pull. And honestly, I'm not really playing this deck competitively anymore. I'm probably going to start tweaking my Blastoise Keldeo and trying to finish off Plasma Box, but I digress. Also, I know these are terrible to run, like these Dynamos, even, like, I'm running them because of the free retreat, even though, honestly, I should be running the ones with 40 HP, as it ensures that they don't die to Darkrai EX's splash damage, or just splash damage in general. 30 to the bench is a very common thing, and these guys only have 30 HP, so yeah, if they Night Spear my Rayquaza and hit one of these, I'm kind of toast, but I digress. This is what I got for now, but we will talk about Electrik because this is what makes the deck good. Electrik's ability, Dynamotor, allows you to attach an electric energy from your discard pile onto one of your bench Pokemon, ideally Rayquaza. If you can get these guys set up, you're basically going to be getting 2 to 3 extra lightning attaches every turn, and once your field is set up, you'll just be doing this. Attack for 180, discard 3 lightning energies. Next turn, put 3 lightning energies on this guy. Retreat, do another 180, and you just repeat and repeat until you kill your opponent or they kill you. Now, unfortunately, because this is so important to the deck, it's also quite a frequent target of disruptions, i.e. they Pokemon capture this up, now you gotta try and get it out of there lest you lose it, and yeah, it just sucks also having these things prized. I think like the one game that I lost horribly was when 2 of these guys were in my prizes. I was like, oh dear god. Thankfully I had like some lightning energies in my hand so I could do about 120 damage. Like, it wasn't exactly a pretty game. Anyway, rounding up the Pokemon, Emolga, call for family, search out Dynamos, and Rayquazas onto my bench, and just get my shit set up. And onto the trainers, this is almost exactly the same as my Garchomp Altaria. First you got your staples, 4 Juniper, 4 N, 3 Bianca, 2 Colress. Then for the other trainers, for catcher, 3 Ultra Ball, 3 Level Ball, 3 Ultra Ball. Discarding lightning energies is especially helpful as they just become Dynamo Motor targets. And this searches out what you don't need. Between these 6 Pokeballs, you should be able to get what you cannot with Emolga, i.e. Electriks themselves. That's the big one. 3 copies of Switch. I know the deck has a low retreat cost, but you don't want your Eels to stay up in the active spot if they happen to capture it. So this gets a captured Eel out of there, and it also gets you out of sleep locks, i.e. through a Hypnotoxic Laser. And if need be, you can also use it to set up some Rayquaza plays. 2 copies of Sky Arrow Bridge. Stadiums have become an integral part of Pokemon's format. Due to the fact that Plasma Box is running Verbanks, a lot of decks are running stadiums in order to counter them. And basically, it's come to the point where he who plays their stadium first will ultimately lose the stadium war because the stadium war because decks are running 2 of each. So basically, if they play their Verbank first, you can put your Sky Arrow down, get rid of the Verbank. If they get rid of this through another Verbank, you can just play your second Sky Arrow, and now they don't have any more Verbanks to play, and you don't have to worry about Verbank damage. But on the flip side, if you play your Sky Arrow first and they play their Verbank, then it becomes really messy, which is kind of unfortunate because this deck relies on Sky Arrow Bridge to get your shit going. Sky Arrow reduces the retreat of all Pokemon in play by 1, which makes Rayquaza a free retreat, and that's just how you do your consistent damage. You're going to be putting energy onto this, retreat for free, and hitting for 180. So yeah, it's really unfortunate when you don't have Sky Arrow Bridges because you're going to be doing dumb shit like manually retreating or using switches to get Rayquaza out of there and then retreating again. It's not exactly pretty. 2 copies of Super Rod, 1 copy of Tool Scrapper. Don't like Eviolite, and I also don't like Garbodor, so this gets rid of that. And Computer Search to get whatever I am missing. Then running out the deck would be my energies. I am running 13, 8 Lightning, 5 Fire. Pretty sufficient numbers. The fire, you may think it's a little bit too much, but even with this number, sometimes I still don't see my fire no matter how much I Juniper, no matter how much I Bianca. Sometimes I'm pretty much forced to computer search it out. Just 5's been pretty good. Last thing you want to see is having 4 prized and then 1 in your discard pile. Then you're left completely unable to do jack shit. And the Lightning's decent number. You open with 1 or 2 often enough, and then you can discard them off for Ultra Ball, or just start attaching them from hand to Rayquaza. Otherwise, though, this is pretty much how the deck is. Overall, very fun, very good for a Tier 2, Tier 1.5 type deck. Although, I'm probably gonna just stop playing it now because there are some other decks I want to play around, and there's the big issue of the Eels are getting rotated. Like, this is from one of the oldest black and white sets, and I'm quite certain that we're going to be going into Dark Explorers or Dragons Exalted on, and this isn't going to be around for that. It hasn't been reprinted either, so yeah. This variant of Rayquaza is probably going to be unplayable post-rotation, so I just figured I'd show this deck now, give it one last hurrah at locals. I got that one last hurrah, so I'm quite happy. And basically from this point on, if I end up playing Rayquaza deck, it's going to be Quadquaza, even though it's just a troll deck at best. That being said though, thank you guys for watching. Till next time, this is always TGS, jacking out.